So just working out the fade button there. It's been a while. It's Dave Clark, Soundart Radio, 102.5 FM and online. I'm Dave Clark, as I said. I am the How. And it's been a little while since we've been doing the Wavelength programme. Back in December, we've burst through into 2020 already. 22nd of January. Can you believe that? So without further ado, introduce Hal from Canoe Adventures. Hal, how are you doing?
I'm all right, thank you. Yes.
So I know you haven't come very far. I know you've come on your bike, but not very far. So tell us what you've been up to today.
Winter time, we're out of our comfort zone a little bit. We have to spend a lot of time indoors. So actually, we've been in the office where we work from the Reconomy Centre in Totnes in the winter time. Yeah. Tapping on our calculators and figuring out our prices for this year. The less glamorous side of running a canoe operation.
But the days are already getting longer.
Yeah,
and you know what? When do you start? When does it actually all sort of kick off?
April, really.
Okay.
Get busy from May, but we try and kick off with the Easter holidays.
Okay.
Yeah, where we get a committed, hardcore sort of customer. Then, yeah.
I know you know this, but that is just around the corner.
It is, yeah. It's surprising. It's an early Easter this year, so we don't normally feed so well when the Easter comes early because we're very much at the mercies of the weather. But yeah, there we go.
Yeah, but weather's good though. I mean, even inclement weather is quite fun for some groups, I imagine.
I love it. I just like being out there.
Yeah.
So it depends. Like I say, in these holidays we get a fewer but more committed, high quality customer. Well, all our customers are quality, but we get the committed following out in Easter. People are ready to get out there and they don't mind the Devon weather. Yeah.
So when in the old sort of elevator pitch, as they say, what do you say Canoe Adventures is all about?
Canoe Adventures, we're about getting people out there in big canoes on the River Dart estuary. So we do guided river adventures on the River Dart estuary. So that's the tidal bit between Totnes and Dartmouth, really. Go from the weir, if you know Totnes, where the freshwater river ends and the estuary begins, out as far as the castle. They're our range.
Okay.
Yeah. And we've got big canoes, so they're huge. The biggest ones take 12 people each. We've got 3 of those, and they're custom designed and built by local boatwright Ian Bowles in Baltic Wharf.
Oh, no, I didn't know that.
So so our thing is really we can get big groups out, mixed groups, mixed abilities. So we've had, great for family reunions, multi-generational trips. We've had a 90-year-old, we've had a 2-week-old out in our boats.
Wow.
Last year we had 30-something disabled people and their carers.
Right.
So that's our ability. We can really get big groups out safely.
Cool.
But at the same time, if you're confident, up for it, strong, go for it, guys. We've got a much longer range than maybe you have in small canoes, so you can do the whole estuary without hurting too much.
So the big canoe bit is part of the attraction, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Yeah, that's what sets us apart. They're big canoes, and they're kind of designed for the estuary where it can get quite windy as well. So often when the kayaks and canoes can't go out, we're still able to go. Yeah. So it's they're good things. Yeah.
So I want to talk about the journey really. So just tell us where you grew up, the first kind of jobs you did, the places you've moved around, and how that's all sort of culminated in this. The business of Canoe Adventures. So, where does it all start?
Yeah, where does it all start? Well, I guess where it ends up, to let you into a little secret, I won't declare this on radio, but I'm not actually a canoeist, really. I kind of come in through the back door. So I kind of grew up down the other end of the estuary. So my mum's side of the family, Kingswear, Dartmouth-based. So I just grew up falling in and out of various boats of different shapes and sizes during the holidays. So sailing particularly, but rowing, motorboats. We're part of a sailing club, so we all using each other's boats and just generally got good at boating and stuff like that. And then, I'm from a farming family around here, and we're all sort of packed off and encouraged there's no future in farming. You get off to uni and learn about business and science and all these things. And in our 30s, interesting, me and both my brothers, we all came back in our 30s. Oh, we've done that. It's good where we started. So in that intervening period, I did a degree in marine biology, actually.
Okay.
I don't like to put that across in my Canoe Adventures role because people expect me to be top scientist and name everything going.
Yeah.
My professional route was quite different. But I think I did that in Liverpool, which involved spending a year on the Isle of Man.
Wow.
And I think the main thing I learned doing a science degree is maybe I'm not really a scientist.
Okay.
So I don't recommend you go and do a science degree just to find that out. But
Yeah.
I was really inspired by it all, and particularly ecology, and learning all the models and principles that come through learning ecology. And I'm always interested in how we apply that to the way we live. But so after that, I got into conservation, did a year learning conservation skills, and that got me a job for a holiday company. So I actually did guided walking holidays. So ironically, within a year of getting a marine biology degree, I was training to be a mountain leader. So from the wet to the high. And I did. So I was based up in Cumbria, Penrith, Cumbria. It was a holiday company called HF Holidays. And they had bases in all the kind of walking spots of the UK, really, right. Plus hiring hotel spaces in Europe and a few overseas or sort of worldwide tours that I wasn't involved with. So learning the real operational side of running tourism, I think. And I was always kind of, there's a little bit more to this, isn't there? And I gave that up to go away. On an expedition with Rally International. If you've heard of that.
Yeah, of course,
And I went as a trek leader, and I was leading trekking projects in the Gobi Desert.
Okay, so when was it? What time are we talking about?
Where are we going? Okay, this is 2000.
Okay.
Yeah.
Rally's a name that a lot of people, I know that name, but then it's not a name you hear so much now. Are they still...
They're still going.
They're still going.
Yeah. I don't know if that's so present in Devon, but I think if you... it's a really great organisation. They're known for their gap year experiences, their gap year programmes. That's their main programme.
Yeah.
And when I was there, they were just famous off the back of Prince William having gone on his expedition. But they still do run, but at that time they ran a really great youth development programme.
Right.
Like partnering with various agencies in the UK. And running some of their own as well on the ground in a lot of urban areas around the UK, and taking young people that never probably even go abroad, let alone have this kind of experience.
Sure.
And so that was it's a personal development program in its own right around the various locations in the UK, and a certain number of those people fed into the expedition experience.
Right.
And they also had active volunteers from the actual countries we went to as well. So it was a really interesting mix. Doing worthwhile projects, and also adventure projects. I was leading the adventure projects.
So you said you're in the Gobi Desert?
Yeah, Gobi Desert. So 3 weeks unassisted, or maybe with a few logistical drops along the way, but unassisted trekking. So everything you carry on your back, going in. And that's where I really had my moment, actually. I suddenly got, when I was working up in Cumbria, and I had mates working for places like Outward Bound while I was working for a holiday company, and I don't really quite get what you guys do.
Sure.
And that was when I realised, out here, in the outdoors, this is a place for, it's much more than just giving people a fun and enjoyable and safe time, healthy time. It's the potential for transformational learning, for really figuring out who you are, what the world is, how you work better together in teams, all this kind of thing just started slotting into place. And I realized, hey, this is something I get, it's something I'm good at. This is what I need to be doing.
So you you underwent that transformational
myself.
Yourself.
Exactly. I was meant to be, this is always the way, isn't it? I was supposed to be supporting the groups of young people through that process.
But you were
absolutely going through it myself.
You were having your moment of epiphany.
That was my moment of epiphany. So I thought, okay, this is, I'm not quite sure what I need to be doing, but I need to be doing something that's along this line.
Yeah. That's interesting. So the thread through all of that, there's the marine biology, and I get the science bit. I think, I did a similar kind of thing. I did a biology. I started doing a biology degree that I never finished.
Okay. No, I saw mine through.
Yeah, well,
I was saved by the Isle of Man. It was 2 years in Liverpool, party, and the final year for marine biologists were on the Isle of Man, where you were taken away from it.
Yeah.
I was able to focus.
Nothing else to do.
Just enough.
No, that's good. But it's the outdoors, isn't it? That's the sort of thread that there, and then the outdoor learning and the not just the sort of factual learning, but the sort of internal development.
Yeah.
We're
outdoor creatures.
Right.
And we need to remember that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But a lot of us forget that, don't we?
Especially, we start the conversation talking about the weather, and, what a lot of us have been doing today is scurrying from one indoor space to another to escape the weather. But, we're outdoor creatures, and that's when we're most alive.
Yeah, that's interesting.
And so that's the environment. So, from there, kind of getting that, and not just outdoor creatures, but we're social creatures, and we perform best together in groups, in teams.
So it's not just that people forget that; it's actually that some people are never even exposed to it.
That's big. Yeah, I think that's underlies a lot of the issues we're maybe facing as a society, isn't it? Really, is that a lot of people living their lives kind of alone, paradoxically in heavily densely populated places, but living quite a lonely life, and also separated from nature and the outdoors, the fresh air, the stimulus, the green that's always provided the backdrop to our world. Away from square edges, all this stuff kind of informs how we are, I reckon.
So tell me a little bit about you started off telling us a little bit about some of the people that you take out. So I mean, a lot of people in Totnes and around Totnes they'll certainly be aware of the town, the river, perhaps the canoe adventures as well. But just tell us about some of the different, products or services, the way you divide up that offer.
Yeah. So we're seasonal, obviously. Work around the weather and people's availability. So if you catch us during the summer holidays, we're pretty well a kind of tourist facility, if you like. So we are taking groups out, family gatherings, family reunions, multi-generational trips. So people and the majority of our trips, people will book a whole canoe or 2 or 3 canoes. We have 6. We can get 69 people out at one time on the water if we want. 61 adults and 69 if you've got little kids. But we also run what we call by-the-seat trips. So 1 or 2 or 3 people can book a seat on a scheduled trip in a canoe, because we need a minimum of 5 or 6 people to operate a canoe safely. Okay. 6 adults really if it's windy, 5 if it's on a calm day. So that's our kind of necessity. So we don't exclude people who are on their own or couples or small families. What we do is we do these scheduled trips that people can book. Does that make sense?
It makes a lot of sense.
We run those over summer holidays, Easter holidays, October half term, summer half term.
So you don't need to be. It makes a lot of sense. But the penny has only just dropped, so you don't need to have a group of people to go.
No, you don't have to. No,
you can.
We there isn't quite the turnover, the traffic to do that outside of a holiday period.
Sure.
What we do though year round is our pub to pub trips.
Okay.
Which are quite legendary, really.
Yeah.
Only to those that have been on them, but they're pretty good. So what we do, we start at the Maltster's Arms in Tuckenhay, one of Devon's finest pubs.
Yep.
And we go to the Ferry Boat Inn at Ditson, also one of Devon's finest pubs.
Yep.
Go to them both by canoe.
Beautiful.
Dine there, and then on the way back, we stop on the shore, build a fire, have a brew as the sun goes down, and then we paddle home in the dark.
Yeah.
And usually get back to the Maltsters in time for last orders.
Nice.
So that's it, and that's where I love being out as it's going dark, and you're getting the shift of daytime creatures handing over to nighttime creatures, and you're working. We're always out with a tide, working with the tide as well. Really special time to be out on the river. So that's a by-the-seat trip that people can book. So that's the most popular thing with locals, probably. Yeah.
And it's always different. I mean, you'd never tire of it.
No, because we work with groups, so people are always different. Yeah. All groups present themselves in a slightly different way, and that's different. The weather, as you know, is very often always different. Yeah. The tide is always different. So you've got those 3 major variables different on each trip. So we never get bored of it, really.
No, I bet.
But then outside of the holidays then, it depends on the time of year. So we have, like, at the end of a school year, we've got this, what many schools call Enrichment Week or Activity Week, where it suddenly goes crazy. We have a problem, as many outdoor providers do, is increasingly schools are saying they can't afford to do outdoor activities anymore, which probably where we're going earlier with that conversation is quite critical. We believe passionately in getting particularly young people out on this environment. But suddenly we get activity week. What is it? The last 2 weeks of a summer term, everyone's finished, kind of. The last place in the world kids should be at that time of year is at school, and yet they need to be at school. So suddenly schools come out, we need to do activities. It's my rather cynical approach, but suddenly we get loads of groups of absolutely up for it, mad young people, lots of itchy feet, about to go on holiday or whatever. And they come out with us. So that's great fun. So, school groups, we'll do corporate team building, that sort of thing. We do, we'll do charity fundraiser events. So a popular one is if people are following the river, the whole river, Dartmoor, source to sea. Okay. And they get as far as Totnes, and then we provide the canoes that they can do the final leg to Dartmouth. Yeah. That's also a popular trip with stag trips. So we do stag do's and hen do's. Nice. We're one of a few people going out on the river that still take stag parties.
Yeah, that must be quite a risk assessment.
Well, we're a good activity for them, actually. Yeah. It's the big boats where they're free to walk around and, can understand the river boats have had enough because they've got a bar on board and lots of other customers and stuff like that. Whereas for us, they need to sit down, they need to paddle. They all face the same way, so they're engaged.
Yeah.
And, it's 2 or 3 great pubs up and down the river, and we space them out with enough paddling that no one can get in, and no reasonable adult can get into an unseaworthy condition.
No.
So we're a good activity for stag do's, and we give them a proper adventure.
Yeah, I bet.
Paddle Totnes to Dartmouth, 2 pubs along the way, and they throw the stag in the water in front of Bayard's Cove off Dartmouth.
That's got to be good, isn't it?
Yeah, and then they finish at the Dartmouth Arms at Bayard's Cove with the view out to sea.
And do you do the same for hen nights and sort of?
Hen do's similar. They don't tend to go so far, but every trip's different. It depends if you get 1 or 2 boats out, and when you get 2 or 3 boats out together, then whether a stag do or a hen do, you normally get the same atmosphere. When we do a hen do and it's just 1 canoe, so 8 to 12, it's normally quite mellow and civil by comparison.
I imagine it gets quite competitive when there's more than 1 boat.
Yeah, it's great. Yeah, even then it's competitive. They're suddenly racing.
Yeah.
And it's suddenly found the motivation. If some of the kids have just lost the spirit a little bit and then another boat creeps up alongside them, suddenly they're paddling again. Yeah.
So that's a whole range of. I mean, that's an amazing range of products or things, adventures that people can sort of select from. And how widespread is the sort of footprint? I mean, is it? Do you get people coming in from quite a long way, or is it?
Yeah, I mean, it reflects probably the kind of tourist demographic that we have. So stag do's, probably. So I was talking to a group who live in Brighton today.
Okay.
London, Brighton, Bristol, that sort of thing. Yeah. Families, all round. So probably as far as Yorkshire, I suppose.
Okay.
Starting to get like a bit more of it. We're beginning to get more international tourists, aren't we, in Devon now?
Yeah,
so,
definitely.
getting some Dutch and French. Yeah, some Spanish. So it really depends on the time of year as well. Okay. Yeah. But we're keen to get more locals out. Really, we've got a mooring in Totnes now on the Milltail.
Right.
Do you know what I mean by that?
Yes, I do.
You cross the bridge by the waterside.
Yeah, that's
We've got a mooring there, and we're not using it so much, but that's to get more of a profile in Totnes. And we're just doing the same in Dartmouth and let people know we're here, a facility.
That'd be cool, wouldn't it? Yeah. A lot of traffic, a lot of pedestrian traffic on the bridge.
Yeah, that's what we thought. People can see the canoe there, and
definitely
we need to see. We can just get out, just 5 minutes away, and you're in magic, apparent wilderness. Yeah.
Well, you are, aren't you? I mean, that's the thing. So we'll talk about that in a second. Well, actually, we'll talk about it now because aside from all that sort of fun stuff, there's this. Do you see people who are out for a good old sort of stag experience, or kids who are like buzzing with excitement, or whoever it is? Do you see many people have this sort of transformation where they suddenly realise that there is something else going on here?
Yes. Yeah. I guess, besides the fun bit, I'd say everything's fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. And what I like to do generally, and all my other work as well, is you kind of give people what they're asking for.
Right.
You give them a good time, then you surprise them a little, and you take them left field, right field, go deep a little bit. Yeah. So people think they're coming for a real full-on workout, okay? And then you have a moment, particularly if you know the river, as you bend around Sharpham. This is sort of my favourite bit, around the sort of Sharpham woods there. And, it's like the landscape and the wildlife, particularly the birds, works on people. And you can just drift there and you get people to go quiet. And, so these people are really worked out for physical experience, and they kind of drop into a zone where, or similarly the other way, people have booked us because they don't want to be figuring out on a kayak, getting blown around the wind or whatever. They come out with us for a nice gentle trip, and then they suddenly find, hang on, this competitive attitude has just kicked in.
Yeah.
They have had a bit of a workout, and they've engaged parts of their body they've not used before, and they're kind of livened up in that way as well. So it can work both ways. But definitely, it's a really great opportunity to connect with nature and connect with your body in a way that maybe you weren't expecting to.
Yeah.
Because it's a group experience as well. And, you can get so close to nature there, just sort of 5-10 minutes from Totnes. And if you look back to what I used to do, taking trekking groups out, and you've got a group of youngsters, and we're going for a walk, trying to get kids walking again. Okay, we're going to go in a boat. Yeah, we're going to go in a boat.
Cool, yeah.
And they haven't got to carry their gear because we stick it in the boat and you paddle, and you can get as close to wilderness and wildlife experience on the estuary there as you probably can, trudging 1 mile, 2 miles into Dartmoor. And I'm not knocking trudging on Dartmoor by any means, but it's in terms of what we can offer, that kind of magic experience, and it's kind of exercise while sitting down.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
But I think the thing that strikes me about the river is that once you've got all the familiarity of say Totnes, and then you leave Totnes behind, you see it sort of fading to the distance, and then you could really be anywhere in the world, couldn't you?
Yeah.
That's the thing.
Yeah.
So and I think it has that sort of power to kind of transform people. It can take them by surprise that they're just sort of out there in this what can be quite a big piece of water.
Yeah.
With all that wildlife, as you say.
I think I'm on the Amazon.
Yeah.
So we didn't get to that bit of my story, but I spent a bit of time out there on the Amazon, and that's where I discovered how to use a paddle on the back of the boat. And so my now wife and we were drifting down the Amazon exploring villages quite a while ago, before we were married, before kids, and we got stuck and there was no more transport going through, so we ended up talking them into selling us a boat. And I knew how to oars, so I showed them how to make some oars, and they all laughed at me. And then I got going and realised why they're laughing at me, because I hadn't checked it out, and it was unseasoned wood, so it was heavy and wet, and it was ripping my hands. And then I was just looking around what other people did and figured, you just sit at the back and you use it like a paddle, and that's that's where I sort of picked it up. So yeah, when I'm out on that river, I'm sort of imagine I'm out on the Amazon, the big brown river, dripping by, with the egrets and things.
Yeah, no, absolutely
similar. Yeah. Squirrels have to plead the monkeys.
Yeah.
That's as close as we've got.
Yeah, so far. But again, for some people, that's I imagine there are a lot of people who, they sign up for a canoe trip, get on the boat, but they will not necessarily have been in that kind of environment.
Yeah, no, not at all.
If they're coming from London or Brighton, they may have been, of course, but they may not.
Yeah, and an important part of our experience is we stop on the shore. Yeah, so our trips are 4.5, 5 hours long.
Right.
But we're not paddling for all that time. So actually, it's you get somewhere and you pull up on the shore, somewhere you can only get to by boat, and we collect driftwood, build a fire, have a brew, and that's a chance for people.
Yeah.
Could just stretch out and chill out. The kids they go exploring and they look under the rocks and we catch crabs and things like that.
Yeah.
And there's a lot that happens at that spot. So yeah, some of the comments we've had, some guys saying, I've never seen landscape like this in my life. This is just amazing. Some of the kids are saying, I've learnt more today than I've ever learned at school.
Yes.
You're getting comments like that quite a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah. Best day of the holidays is kind of a common comment. And for locals, it's like, I had no idea this was just here. Yeah. So close, right on our doorstep. Yeah.
And is that part of the reason? So, you've sort of led us into some of the secrets, if you like, but is this what keeps you motivated as well?
Yeah, I would say so. And for our skippers as well, it's important. So we have a team of skippers, and none of them are particularly well paid. Yeah, all of them could get better paid at jobs elsewhere, really. They do it because they love it, and they got something to share. So we don't really recruit youngsters straight out of outdoor college, that are into all the outdoor, high adrenaline kind of activities. We're kind of recruiting people with a bit of a story to tell, and they can have an interest in anyone that comes, which is really important. Like I say, most of the time is spent on the shore. It's having conversation. It's chase. It's not about like fighting the rapids, going down the upper dart. Yeah, so it's important we get that balance right. So people have to be all our staff are motivated by being on the river, giving people a great experience out there. And being able to pull that off in a very kind of low-key, hands-off, stand-back sort of way.
Yeah, that's nice, isn't it?
It's something I really learned on Rally. This was a real trick. They called it hands-off leadership. Okay. And it's about creating the space by which the group can just have the experience they need to have. And you've got your safety net. You know where it is. It's invisible to them.
Sure.
And you can really, once you've got that established and confident around yourself, then you can really let go and you're there to step in if you need to, but you can really let the group or the individuals or whatever lead the process.
I can imagine, again, because we live in this sort of society, there's a tendency to be kind of force-fed and bombarded with everything. So, when, a lot of people, a lot of the experiential things are things that, are designed to happen to you, to kind of guarantee that you experience this, that or the other, that, you will have fun, you will be excited, you will be fearful, you will have the adrenaline. And it's like that with film and radio as well, and everything. It's all bombarding you.
Yeah.
And what I like about the sound of that is what we've just said, that sort of hands off. So it's all going to happen. You are going to experience that, but you're going to kind of experience it naturally, for what it is.
This took me a bit to get my head round, because I'm quite a busy extrovert sort of person, and after that experience in the Gobi Desert I was referring to, when I came back, I started working in team building, leadership work, corporate stuff, and it's very process stuff. And when I started working for Canoe Adventures, because I started just going as one of the skippers, and I was always thinking, how do I bring more process into this so we can get some real higher spec team building in here? And it took me a season to sort of get over that. I think, no, actually, you know what? This trip is the process.
Yeah.
Actually. I was like, let's stop on the shore and we'll do a team building game. And actually, no, we don't need to do that here. The process is happening, like you say, naturally.
It's kind of the people.
You've got a great environment, you've got a great activity, you've got a group of people. With that cocktail, just things happen. Yeah. Like I say, your role as a facilitator or a guide in that role is just check everything's safe.
It's like a lot of these experiences are kind of in people waiting to come out.
Yeah,
they just need a bit of time and a bit of space to bring that out.
Well, like I say, we're outdoor creatures, we're social creatures, and you put people together in a group in the outdoors with a kind of license to go for it. Yeah, they will.
So you mentioned some of the people that you work with. So just so let us know who are the partners, suppliers, people you work for.
Sure. So I've got a business partner, Hugh, who I was with this morning. Yeah. So both he and I worked for the founders of a company. Phil Sheardown, he's called. He lives in Harborton. Yep. And his partner, Flip Williams. They set the company up in 1999, so we're 21 this year. Right. And I started working for them as a skipper just for a summer job. I hired the company actually for a couple of groups I had and thought, hey, I could do this. And Hugh, likewise, he had been a skipper for them. So they came to retire in 2015, and they gave Hugh and I first option on the company. So we took over in 2016. And then we have a group of skippers who are kind of freelancers mostly, associates if you like, but freelancers who they get paid per trip. Yep. Most of them all live fairly locally and do a range of interesting things. So they're a mix of, in their other work, there'll be youth workers, bushcraft instructors, outdoor leaders of some kind. Winter work will be a real interesting mix. We have a little joke. Everyone on the river, fishermen and everyone who works on the river has got about 6 jobs. Yeah. So one guy, Dan, lives in Totnes. He runs a picture framing business, and he's got a chainsaw license. He does various work like that. A guy called Adrian he's a moorland leader. We have other people that do youth work, mentoring work in the winter. Yeah. Hugh, my business partner, he's also a bushcraft instructor and a youth mentor as well. So that enables us to, because people have to have that spread of professional skills. Sure. That brings the extra value, the extra depth for officer trips.
Fits.
We've got a guy who's a retired doctor, so he was a GP, becoming a grandfather, so took early retirement, and he's taking life a lot more seriously now, being a granddad and canoeing. Yeah.
Interesting.
So good mix.
So how do people find out more? What's the best way of finding out more?
The best way to find out about us is via our website at the moment, and give us a shout and we'll get in touch. So what we're doing this year is we're investing in our marketing. Yep. So in February, March, we'll be recruiting actually for an assistant to get us more active, because our marketing is not really lived up to the rest of our operations yet. But that's what we're putting in place this year. Okay. Yeah. So get in touch with via the website, which is canoeadventures.co.uk. Yep. And you can send an inquiry there, and we'll be in touch as quickly as we can. Yeah. Cool.
And I was going to ask you whether you got any other sort of hobbies and interests and clubs, but you probably don't need them with that amount of outdoor activity.
We're both busy on the family side. So both Hugh and I have got young kids. It's probably been the biggest challenge actually taking on this company, especially as a seasonal company, is fitting it all around your family and making that all work. So yeah, I'm just busy, and I'm engaged in the community in Totnes quite a bit as well.
Now we're going to get. I mean, everybody in Totnes, who's anybody, knows that there's a huge pantomime on tonight. I mean, I'm going.
Absolutely.
You're going.
Yeah.
I mean, everybody.
It's just everyone's talking about it.
Yeah, it is the talk of the town. So we've got to go because we've got places to be.
Yeah.
But you're going to come back in a couple of weeks.
I'll come back in a couple of weeks
because we're going to talk about Future Bound.
Right. Yes.
And so this is where this sort of Future Bound. Just tee that up.
Okay. So imagine we've got a great experience on the river here with canoe adventures, and equally we've got a really great experience in Totnes. So people who know Totnes and what it represents, it's got quite a bit international status. People want to come and learn what's going on, and so we provide a program that's it's based on purpose, vision, and action, but it's focus on resilience and leadership, and it's about people that really look into the future. Yeah. And how can we respond to all this stuff that's going on, and looking for ideas. So people are coming to Totnes for ideas, and what we do is put a whole program, mixed activities. So they're visiting practical projects and a lot of the entrepreneurs around here, but they're also getting out the landscape. So it's a mixture of personal development, inspirational ideas, that sort of thing.
Brilliant.
So that's what Future Bound is about. Yeah. So through canoe adventures and other things, we're putting the infrastructure in place to provide a really good all-round program in the area.
So the sort of the fun adventure for schools, for hens, for stags, that's only part of the narrative, isn't it? Of the bigger narrative is how the canoe adventures offer fits into a much broader offer, which is this taps into the future bound vision
for the groups that are looking for that.
For the groups.
I mean, the way we're putting the instruction in place is each of the components stands on its own 2 feet as its own business as well, like Canoe Adventures done, and tours we do in the town do as well. When it all comes together to make a really great program. That's what Future Bound's about. Okay,
well, you've been listening to Wavelength. My apologies for the microphone. We had a bit of a dodgy sound there.
Did I?
No, it's fine. Okay. I just fixed it by tapping a cable, but if it faded in and out, my apologies. There you go. So Soundart Radio 102.5 FM. I'm Dave Clark. To get your business featured on the show, just search I Am The How. That's all one word. Give me a call. You can listen to this program as a podcast on Apple, Google, Spotify, Stitcher, many other platforms. Excuse me. Please share and subscribe. Do contact me if you'd like to be on the show. And Hal, we'll speak again. But thanks very much for coming in.
Thank you.
All right. See you all in a couple of weeks.
Podcasting for brands. IamTheHow.com.